Hello and welcome. Tonight we'll take a slow, relaxing journey through time to a place and era that might seem far removed from our comfortable modern lives. Ancient Arabia, a land of harsh deserts, fierce winds, and the quiet, relentless rhythm of survival. Close your eyes if you wish. Let your mind wander and imagine the night descending over endless sands. Imagine the cool shadow of mountains stretching across valleys and the distant sound of the wind whispering secrets of lives long past. We are about to explore why surviving just one night in this ancient world would have been nearly impossible for a modern human. And we will do it slowly, carefully, so you can drift along with the story. Ancient Arabia was vast. It was a land of contrasts, burning deserts under the day's relentless sun and chilling cold when night fell. The landscape itself demanded respect. Rolling sand dunes, jagged mountains, and sparse oases defined life here. Water was precious, more valuable than gold. Imagine standing at the edge of a desert, feeling the hot sand underfoot. The horizon shimmers, waves of heat rising from the ground. During the day, the sun burns mercilessly. Shade is rare, and travelers must carry every drop of water with them. One misstep, one miscalculation, and dehydration could claim a life faster than any predator. At night, the desert changes. The heat retreats, replaced by biting cold. Temperatures can drop dramatically. The sand, once soft under your feet, becomes hard and icy. Without fire or proper clothing, you would shiver through the night. Sleep comes reluctantly, interrupted by the sounds of the night, distant howls, shifting sand, or the faint whisper of the wind. Oases were tiny sanctuaries in this vast expanse. Only a few palms, a trickle of water, maybe some wild fruit to sustain life. Yet even these precious spots could not guarantee safety. Water was shared sparingly, and animals, both wild and domesticated, might make life unpredictable. The people of ancient Arabia were survivors. Life demanded it. Tribes were tightly knit, and every member had a role, hunting, gathering, protecting, or tending to camels and livestock. Imagine a nomadic family preparing for the evening. They gather firewood, check water supplies, and secure their small camp. The night is long and dangers are many. Predators, raiders, sudden sandstorms, or even illnesses that could not be treated with modern medicine. Children were taught early how to track animals, find water, and avoid the desert's many hidden dangers. Adults carried knowledge of herbs and remedies. They understood the stars, using them to navigate through seemingly endless deserts. You might think of our modern luxuries, soft beds, warm blankets, easy food, all absent here. Survival depended on skill, knowledge, and a little luck. One night without proper preparation, and even the most capable city dweller would be lost. As the sun sets, the desert transforms. The heat fades and the cold creeps in. Shadows stretch long across the sand, and the silence is profound. No birds sing, no cars hum, only the whispering wind and the occasional animal in the distance. Imagine setting up a small camp. You dig a shallow trench to avoid the worst of the wind, light a small fire, and sit close, feeling the heat on your hands. Smoke curls upward, carrying the faint smell of burning wood. You sip the last drops of water from your skin bottle, careful not to waste a single drop. Sleep is a fragile thing here. The wind can wake you. Sand can creep under your blanket, and the chill can bite. Your mind wanders, thinking of home, comfort, warmth, all of which are luxuries you cannot afford in this place. Food is scarce in ancient Arabia, especially at night. Many tribes survived by hunting small game, gathering dates, or herding camels. Even a single night without food could weaken a traveler, making them vulnerable to the desert's dangers. Water is more precious than anything else. Imagine walking for hours, the sun now gone, feeling parched, knowing that one wrong turn could mean your water supply ends before dawn. Nightfall does not solve thirst. It only makes the body colder, more fatigued, more vulnerable. The people here learned to ration carefully. Every sip counted. They might chew on leaves or seeds to trick their bodies into feeling less hungry. But a modern human unaccustomed to such scarcity would quickly struggle. The desert isn't only hostile because of the heat or cold. It harbors creatures, some dangerous, some opportunistic, all adapted to survive when you are most vulnerable. Imagine the soft padding of paws on the sand, subtle and almost silent. Scorpions, snakes, and small predators roam under the cover of night, hunting for prey. You stir in your sleep. A slight rustle outside the tent. Is it the wind or something else? You grip your improvised weapon, maybe a stick, heart pounding. The wind whistles, the sand drifts. The fire sputters as smoke fades. Outside, eyes shine in the darkness. A hiss. The soft slithering across dry ground. You freeze. Without knowledge of where to step or how to sense danger, the night becomes a maze of threats. One wrong move and venom could strike, or a beast could approach unnoticed. The desert respects no one. Even venomous creatures weren't the worst. A predator might target a weak human or a sick camel. A hungry pack could be drawn by the scent of food. In darkness, dangers multiplied. If threats of venomous animals and cold nights weren't enough, nature itself could turn deadly. A sandstorm, sudden, fierce, and deafening, could rise with no warning. Imagine heavy, swirling clouds of dust racing across the desert. Sand burns your skin, fills your eyes, clogs your nostrils. You scramble to secure the camp, stones, heavy hides, anything to try to keep the swirling sand at bay. But there's no real protection. Not when the wind becomes a roaring beast. You cough. Sand scratches your throat. Flames of your fire threaten to die as oxygen cuts off. The night becomes a suffocating blur. If you survive the first wave, you might survive. But exhaustion, dehydration, bleeding lungs, and disorientation make you easy prey for other dangers. Sometimes sandstorms lasted hours, maybe even the entire night. Yet humans endured. Small tribes wandered this brutal land for centuries. Their secret meant learning from nature, from hardship, from mistakes, and from ancestors. Imagine elders teaching youngsters to identify safe plants by night, to listen to the wind's whispers for signs, to use stars as guides, to know which direction to head when sand dunes erased familiar marks, to ration water, to wrap themselves in hides when cold crept in, to stay close and huddle near fire. They taught children to move quietly in the dark, to avoid scorpions and snakes, to build fragile shelters beneath rock ledges or behind dunes when storms threatened. They understood that comfort meant nothing here, only preparation, discipline, and respect for the land. No soft pillows or warm baths, only vigilance and endurance. Those who carried traditions could survive nights that would break a modern traveler's spirit. Not all of ancient Arabia was endless desert. There were settlements, small towns, trading posts, caravansaries along trade routes. These places offered brief reprieves from the harsh wilderness. Imagine a dusty caravan stop, a few stone huts, a handful of travelers resting before dawn. fires burning, the smell of cooking meat or dried dates hanging in the air. Camels tethered nearby, quietly grazing on sparse scrub. At night there might be a sense of cautious comfort, guards keeping watch, fires kept alive, lanterns casting soft glows, a sense of fleeting safety among fellow travelers. But even in these rare refuges, danger lurked. Raiders might strike. Water could be poisoned. The supply could run out. And once you left, you returned to the desert's harsh permanence. For most of those who ever ventured into ancient Arabia, such safe stops were scarce, and many never reached them. Stories, whispered over campfires under the stars, formed a key part of survival culture. Tales of ancestors, of desert spirits, of stars that guided lost travelers or swallowed them forever. Imagine the soft voice of an elder telling a child about a caravan that vanished after a sandstorm, swallowed by shifting dunes. Or about a scorpion's sting so potent it could kill a grown man before dawn. These stories were not just entertainment. They were warnings, lessons embedded in memory. Listen to the wind. Respect the dunes. Trust not every oasis. Keep fire at night. Stay in the group. As you listen, the firelight dances on tired faces. The stars above shimmer softly. Shadows flicker. The desert seems alive, not cruel, but indifferent and eternal. A place where only those who understand its rhythms survive. Now imagine yourself, a modern human, used to soft beds, constant warmth, running water, and bright city lights. Imagine being transported back in time, dropped at the edge of a desert night with nothing but what you wear. You might try to survive. You might panic. You might bargain with the stars, pray for a breeze, for a cloud, for a stray animal that could bring safety. But the desert would not answer. It would wait. Indifferent, patient, unforgiving. Why wouldn't you survive one night in ancient Arabia? Because you lack the knowledge of water, you don't know how to hide from storms, you don't know the tricks to stay warm or safe. Because you don't carry the memory of hardship, the training of survival, the vigilance bred by generations. In that single night, the desert would test you, your body, your mind, your spirit. And without preparation, you might become one more lost traveler whose name is never spoken again. And so, we end our journey not at dawn, but in the lingering darkness of possibility. A night in ancient Arabia was never a restful, dreamy sleep. It was a delicate dance with danger, with nature, with the unknown. If you've drifted along with me, perhaps you feel a gentle shiver, a soft sense of gratitude for modern comfort. And perhaps as your eyes grow heavy, you'll drift into sleep, safe, warm, far away from shifting dunes and stinging sand. In a land without streetlights, without maps, and without GPS, the night sky was the only guide. Ancient Arabs became experts at reading the stars. Every constellation, every shimmer of light held meaning. Imagine standing in the desert, the wind still whispering around you. Above, stars stretch in patterns both familiar and strange. The North Star offered a constant, steady reference point. Other stars moved in arcs across the sky, marking time, direction, and season. Travelers learned to navigate by this silent orchestra above. The smallest mistake in reading the sky could send you walking in circles for hours, losing precious time and water. The night was quiet but full of invisible threats. Stars were friends, guides, and sometimes the only hope. Campfires flickered beneath these skies. Elders pointed out constellations to children, teaching them the routes their ancestors traveled, the stories embedded in each star and the signs that warned of approaching storms. Sleep could not come until you trusted the stars. Every glance above was a reminder. The desert does not forgive those who forget its lessons. Animals were central to survival in ancient Arabia. Camels were called ships of the desert, able to carry heavy loads across scorching sands. Goats and sheep provided milk, meat, and wool. Each animal required care, attention, and knowledge of how to manage them under harsh conditions. Picture a camel, tall and steady, silhouetted against a twilight sky. Its breath forms clouds in the cold desert night. It carries supplies, sometimes people, sometimes water, always essential for survival. A lost camel meant a lost night, maybe a lost life. Goats grazed on sparse shrubs, their bleats echoing softly in the distance. Each animal's behavior was watched closely. A restless herd could indicate approaching danger, a storm, a predator, or a raider. Knowledge of animal habits was as critical as knowing the stars. For a modern visitor, keeping track of these animals would be overwhelming. One lost goat could mean a shortage of milk. One injured camel could mean failure to reach the next water source. Night amplified these challenges. Every sound, every movement mattered. Humans, even in the harshest lands, needed stories. Myths and legends offered both guidance and comfort. In ancient Arabia, tales of jinns, spirits of the desert, and unseen forces were common. Imagine sitting by a small fire, hearing a story of a traveler who disappeared near a cursed oasis. The wind rises, and you wonder if shadows moving in the dunes are real or imagined. These stories weren't just to scare children, they reinforced survival strategies, teaching caution and respect. Nighttime was full of invisible threats. The mind, alone with the dark, might exaggerate the smallest noises. The desert demanded constant alertness. Humans coped with both physical and psychological challenges, and these myths became tools of survival, blending caution with tradition. Ancient Arabia had extremes beyond day and night. Summers could be unforgiving, with sand scorching under the sun. Winters could bring freezing nights, frost in valleys, and sudden cold winds. Imagine enduring a night where the temperature plummets to near freezing. Without modern clothing or blankets, the body shivers. The fire flickers low. Water freezes. Small mistakes could become fatal. Travelers learned to move with the seasons, timing journeys to avoid the harshest conditions. Ancient maps, based on experience rather than paper, guided caravans safely from oasis to oasis. A modern human, unfamiliar with these rhythms, would quickly fall victim to the desert's extremes. A single night misjudged could be deadly. Despite the danger, the desert was alive at night. Small rodents scurried under sand, owls hunted silently, insects hummed, and the wind whispered through dunes. Imagine lying near a fire, listening. The sounds are soft but constant. Every rustle, every distant howl, every subtle movement is information. Ancient humans learned to decode these noises, understanding when danger was near or when the night was safe to rest. Sleep was never deep, never complete. The desert demanded attention. Yet there was a strange beauty in this quiet, a rhythm that connected humans to the land in a way modern life rarely does. Even a small windbreak could make the difference between life and death. Ancient Arabs used simple techniques, digging shallow pits, building stone walls, using animal hides. Imagine setting up camp. The cold wind bites at your skin. Sand tries to invade every fold of clothing. Without a small trench or a rock wall, survival through the night would be nearly impossible. Shelter also offered psychological comfort. Even the bravest traveler faced nights of fear and uncertainty. A modest camp could provide a sense of security, a place to rest one eye while the other stayed vigilant. Survival in ancient Arabia required knowledge of plants, roots, and natural remedies. Modern medicine did not exist. Nighttime could bring illness, infections, or injuries. Healing relied on wisdom passed through generations. Imagine a traveler pricked by a thorn, the wound beginning to swell. A local elder applies a poultice made from crushed leaves and herbs. It soothes the pain, reduces swelling, and may prevent infection. Herbs could calm nerves, ease the chill, or even help with insomnia necessary when the desert sounds are unnerving. Knowing which plant could be eaten, which could heal, which could harm, this knowledge separated life from death. For a modern person, untrained and unused to these methods, night could become a time of quiet suffering. Every cough, every small injury, every minor illness could escalate in the desert's isolation. Fire was essential. It provided warmth, light, and protection, but it required attention. A fire left unattended could die, leaving the traveler vulnerable to cold or predators. Picture tending a small flame, feeding it slowly with dry wood. Smoke curls upward, carrying the desert's scent. The firelight dances across sand and stone. Shadows shift, creating illusions that the mind might mistake for movement. The glow of the fire was comforting, hypnotic even. It offered companionship during long nights. Travelers would sit near it, sipping water, listening to the wind, and feeling the rhythmic pulse of survival. Fire also guided others. A distant traveler could spot the glow and find aid, but it could also attract predators or raiders. Every flicker was both safety and danger, a reminder of the delicate balance of life in the desert. The desert was not only harsh because of nature. Humans, too, could pose threats. Night raids were a real danger. Nomadic tribes and travelers often carried goods, water, or livestock that raiders might desire. Imagine waking to the sound of distant footsteps, the rustle of movement. Heart racing, you clutch a stick or knife, eyes straining in darkness. Raiders, silent and trained, could appear and vanish in moments. Trust was a valuable commodity. Travelers often moved in groups guarded by experienced elders. Alone, you would be exposed to both natural and human dangers. The night amplified every threat, turning shadows into potential enemies. Even settlements were not entirely safe. Outlaws could strike at wells, caravans, or small towns. Every night demanded vigilance, every sound required attention. Survival in ancient Arabia was not only a test of strength, but a testament to human adaptability. People developed techniques, rituals, and traditions that allowed them to endure where many would fail. Consider the countless generations that navigated deserts without modern maps, without medicine, without blankets. They relied on memory, observation, and instinct. Knowledge of animals, plants, stars, and weather became essential. Modern humans, accustomed to comfort, would struggle with the sheer unpredictability of such nights. Yet these ancient peoples thrived, not because the desert was forgiving, but because they listened, observed, and respected it. There is a quiet lesson here. Survival is not just about physical endurance. It is about patience, attention, and a deep connection to the world around you. Let's slow down now. Imagine lying on soft sand beneath a sky full of stars. The wind brushes gently across your skin. Your breathing slows. Hear the distant call of an owl, the soft movement of a small rodent, the faint hum of insects in the cool night air. The fire crackles softly, sending tiny sparks upward. Feel the cold creeping through your clothes, the warmth of the fire balancing it. Taste the faint saltiness of sweat, the dryness of desert air. Smell the smoke, the sand, the faint scent of desert flowers carried by wind. Every detail is quiet, soft, and slow. Your mind can drift. The desert, though harsh, now becomes a lullaby, its rhythm steady, patient, eternal. You are safe in your imagination. The desert tests only in stories, in whispers of history. You feel its cold, its heat, its wind, but you are warm, calm, and ready for sleep. Imagine the final night. You have learned slowly what it takes to endure. You have tended fire, listened to the stars, respected animals, and watched the wind. Sleep comes more easily now. The night stretches before you, silent but alive. The dangers are still present, but they are distant, softened by your knowledge. You understand the desert, if only in imagination. The wind whispers, the sand rests, the stars shimmer. And you, safe and calm, drift into a gentle sleep, carried by the history of a land that demanded patience, skill, and respect. And now we conclude our slow journey through ancient Arabia. A night here was not a simple night. It was a test, a challenge, and a lesson in survival. You have traveled with the wind, felt the cold, understood the stars, and imagined life in a place both harsh and beautiful. Let the desert fade behind your closed eyes. Let the night carry you into dreams. Rest now. Sleep well, good night.